Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Colton Ogburn, and we need to talk about that brutal cliffhanger ending to Squid Game Season 2. We're also going to review the season as a whole and speculate on what's next for Season 3. We're also going to break down that post-credit scene and share our theory on what's going down in that brief tease for the next season. This season once again showed us that the games and their masters are in full control. No matter how clever Seong and the others think they are, no matter how close they think they are getting to bringing down the games, the frontman and the games are always one step ahead. Seong's uprising against the games is nothing but another game where many players die. Seong thought he was playing checkers, but the frontman was playing chess, and he was willing to sacrifice his pawns. And a little later we'll discuss how Seong ended up dropping to that level as well and was willing to sacrifice his pawns, which regrettably is a point in favor of the frontman in proving that Seong is no hero. This season is once again about a battle of ideology and outlooks on life.
이 게임을 만든 놈들, 우리가 싸워야 한다면 그 놈들과 싸워야 합니다.
So, the original Squid Game was a worldwide phenomenon. Everyone was watching it, and that's especially impressive considering the language barrier and American audiences' hesitation to watch subbed and dubbed media.
Do you speak any English? Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Granted, with the popularity of anime and films like Parasite winning Best Picture, general audiences are now more primed for non-English speaking projects. And to quote Parasite director Bong Joon-ho,
장벽도 아니죠. 한 1인치 정도 되는 그 장벽을 뛰어넘으면 여러분들이 훨씬 더 많은 영화를 즐길 수 있습니다.
Now, what was so great about Squid Game Season 1 and what made it so appealing to general audiences was, of course, its brilliant writing and overall masterclass in edge-of-your-seat storytelling. But it was boosted by the fact that audiences from all around the globe could relate to the story and its deeper meaning and themes that are continued in this second season. This series as a whole is about class warfare and humanity's morality or lack thereof. The games are designed to lure in the desperate, those who have made bad choices and who have gotten themselves into serious debts with bad people. However, this season we see the other side of that coin with number 11. Her scenes outside of the games mislead us into believing that she's going to be one of the players, but in a great twist, she turns out to be one of the soldiers who mercilessly guns down the players. So this just shows us how broken the system actually is, which leads into truly sickening and inhumane crimes. Now, Seong's perspective is that the system itself is designed to beat people down and rob them of any true choice of being good. The games, on the other hand, take the position that some people are just inherently bad.
땡.
Now, the games have the goal of proving that humanity is broken and incurable, and that the survival of the fittest mentality is the only way that man can flourish. And they attempt to demonstrate this with the cruel nature of the games. The games give the illusion of choice. You chose to come here. You get to vote on whether or not you wish to continue playing. You choose whether or not you want to betray your friends to survive. So sure, these are ultimately choices that the individuals can make, but Seong sees that there really is no free will at hand here. When you're faced with the options of being bad or dying, that really isn't a choice at all.
나 아니었으면 당신도 죽었어.
너 때문이야! 너 아니었으면 살릴 수 있었어! 시간이 없었다고!
The games, like the corrupt system that we all live in, they aren't truly offering a choice. It's a false choice disguised as freedom. Now, Seong believes that good can prevail, and that the isolationist and cynical mentality of those at the top is fundamentally wrong. Seong believes that a united front can combat cruel oligarchic control and bring forth prosperity. But what's ironic is that in order to break this system and rise above his own flaws and bring down these elites, Seong has to become one himself.
Oh, jeez.
What's wrong, buddy?
I just got back from my Christmas holiday in Spain and my phone bill is higher than a human head.
Oh man, I have a perfect solution for you. Just ask Ryan.
Actually, Doug, I'm in Scotland right now, and I'm able to talk to you using my data because I'm using a Saley eSIM. They're the sponsor of this video.
Wow, how did you get in Scotland?
Actually, I don't really know. Guys, I travel a lot, and I used to always pay these exorbitant daily fees just to be able to use my phone. So trust me when I tell you, Saily eSIM is the best way to go. If your New Year's resolution is to travel more, or if you're planning that big trip overseas, you need this app. When I went to the Scottish Highlands, I could use my phone to watch videos, play games, and best of all, share my experience on social media. So it makes it easier for me to work because I can also stream and upload videos like the one you're watching right now.
So here's how Saily works. You download it from the App Store and you activate it before you even arrive at your destination. You choose your data plan and then make sure you apply our coupon code ScreenCrush for 15% off. That's our exclusive discount. Then you can make calls, use the internet, and it makes traveling so much more fun and stress-free.
Saily is easy, and all plans are compatible with iOS and Android devices. And they offer 24/7 support and a full refund if your device is not eSIM compatible. Guys, I have been traveling abroad for years, and I wish I had known about Saily this whole time. It is so easy and convenient, and it's like bringing a little piece of home with you on your trip. So, to get an exclusive 15% discount on Saily data plans, use code ScreenCrush at checkout, or click our link below or scan this QR code. You will not regret it. This app is amazing.
Now, back to Squid Game. So I really loved what they did with Seong this season. He is a completely different character, and they even acknowledged the stark differences in his character by bringing in an old friend who he knew from before the first season and during his childhood. The games changed Seong massively, and we saw that switch happen in the Marbles episode from the previous season. That was the moment when Seong was stripped down and the new Seong was born. Seong's betrayal of the original player one, the old man, proved the old man's point and the front man that everyone is only in it for themselves. The original games were designed not only to exploit the desperate and downtrodden for the entertainment of the elites, but it was also their way of proving to themselves that they haven't lost the moral high ground to those they view as beneath them. Seeing these desperate people brutally kill one another to save their own lives and join the top 1% helps the elites justify their own heinous behavior. Everyone is bad, and these desperate people that they exploit are no better than them and hold no moral high ground.
네가 그 안에서 총질을 하든 밖에서 야바이 짓을 하든 달라지는 건 없어.
But Seong is unable to live with his betrayal of the old man, and it was this moment of betrayal that broke Seong and essentially rebooted his moral compass. This moment morphs Seong into the version of his character that we follow in Season 2, and he bucks the narrative that good doesn't exist by sparing his childhood friend in that final game, the Squid Game, despite how heinously his old friend had behaved throughout the games. Seong's willingness to walk away from the games with nothing despite one easy kill away from all that money proved that good still existed in the world. Seong proved the old man wrong in their final wager at the end of that first season.
누군가 그 노숙자를 구하러 왔다는 걸 알면서도 창밖을 보려고 하지 않았지. 숨이 멎는 순간 분명히 알고 있었어. 자기가 졌다는 걸.
And I loved seeing them bring the frontman into the games as a false ally. And I think that was just freaking brilliant. And it's also, of course, worth noting that the number 1 symbolizes the top 1%, and it symbolizes their end of the spectrum as compared to Seong being on the complete opposite side of that spectrum as the final player, player 456. The front man, like the old man before him, is trying to prove that same point, that the games are doing a service for humanity, essentially weeding out the bad, rewarding only a small few, and creating an elite class of people at the top who are viewed as the winners of the game of life. And we see this when the frontman stands up to Thanos and his lackeys. The other players see him as a hero, but in a way this proves his point that the only way to maneuver through the game and through life is by using violence and force to tear down others so you can survive and rise to the top. The dichotomy between these two characters is so great because they're both former winners of the game. There are some genuinely awful people participating in these games, but this season less so examines the argument of morality amongst the players, but instead the argument of morality between Seong and the frontman. But more specifically, he is trying to prove to Seong that he is no better than him. There are several moments throughout the series where we see the frontman succeed in tearing down Seong. Seong becomes a wealthy elite by winning that blood money in Season 1, and for a long time he refused to spend that money, but as we can see in this season, he's spending it no problem. Granted, a majority of it is being spent in his efforts to bring down the games. It's not like he's living in luxury, but Seong's use of his wealth to pay men to hunt down the recruiter is an example of him becoming a powerful man of influence who can achieve his own personal ambitions with the use of money.
You gotta make the money first. Then when you get the money, you get the power.
And this is crucial because Seong's entire plan to stop the game was never going to work. He spent an entire year dealing with his guilt and 2 more years trying to find the recruiter. And all of this is happening while Seong was pretending to be John Wick. At no point in those 2 years does Seong use his wealth to expose the game or go public or go to the authorities again. Instead, he's searching for one guy wearing a suit, trying to find a needle in a very big haystack. Even in the games, he can't really make a difference because by becoming rich, he kind of forgets the desperation that brings people into the games in the first place, and the lines that they will cross to obtain that money. Because the frontman is kind of right, Seong has a bit of a death wish because of his guilt. He wants to be the hero, he needs to be the one that stops the games. This opens the door for a wide-ranging philosophical discussion on morality and right and wrong when it comes to Seong as a person, his use of the money, and the mission he embarked on both selfishly and vengefully, but also for the greater good. In this season, we see the frontman slowly pick away at Seong, analyzing him up close and personal, and we get this awesome exchange where the frontman confirms that Seong is indeed willing to sacrifice innocent lives for the greater good.
작은 희생은 감수하자는 건가요?
이번 기회를 놓치면 더 큰 희생을 치르게 될 겁니다.
Seong's entire position has been to paint the Squid Games and the frontman as barbaric murderers, yet here Seong is willing to let a lot of his own people die, while he and the others hide under the beds waiting to attack the guards when they come in.
The needs of the many outweigh
The needs of the few.
Sure, you could argue that Seong's intentions were pure, he wanted to save as many people as possible, and he knew that if the games continued, all but one of them would likely die. But in this moment of desperation, where Seong takes the path of a greater good argument, you can tell that the frontman is elated to see Seong compromising his moral high ground.
What did it cost?
everything.
The frontman justifies his games as benefiting the greater good by sacrificing the lives of people that he views as garbage and ridding society of their presence and pulling a lucky few of them and welcoming them into that top 1%.
네가 진심으로 잘 살기를 바랬어. 지난 일은 다 잊고 행복하길 바랬지.
Now, the frontman's mission this season is to break Seong from the idea that he is a hero.
잘 봐. 네 영웅놀이의 결과가 어떤 건지.
This is why the frontman allows and even participates in Seong's orchestrated firefight with the guards. He wants Seong to be burdened by the deaths of the players that he leads into battle. The frontman and Seong are 2 sides of the same coin. The frontman went a very different path after winning the games, and I think there is a part of him that is rattled by the way Seong reacted to victory.
What's that? You think you're better than me?
The frontman is on a personal mission to force Seong to come down to his level and essentially give the frontman the justifications he's been looking for. However, the frontman proves his ideology wrong by compromising the supposed fairness of the game. He doesn't participate in the first game, you know, the part that is meant to weed out the weak. In Season 1, the old man played the game from the start, even though his life was never truly at risk. With the frontman taking control of the game, with his choices and even by cheating, he is proving that there is nothing fair about the games.
이곳에서 가장 중요한 걸 망쳐놨어. 평등이야. 참가자들 모두가 같은 조건에서 공평하게 경쟁하지.
And this defines the moral conflict of the season and possibly of the entire show. In fact, it looks like this time the game is all about this clash between the frontman and Seong. All the other participants exist only to serve as pawns to prove a point. Even the soldiers are being sacrificed for the frontman's game. Remember, they view the guys in pink as just as inferior as the players of the games. And this might even go beyond the game. It seems like the frontman and the elites running the games have everyone in their pocket. Like the guy on the boat, they can just kill or buy anyone they need. So even in the outside world, they are still in control and Seong's fight is futile. Even his Andor-style uprising in the final episode was all part of the frontman's ultimate plan. In fact, the uprising could be commentary on reality shows. We have to keep in mind that the Squid Games are watched by the elites like they're a reality show, and Netflix even put together a reality show spin-off series inspired by this series. On those types of shows, producers always try to find a way to prevent the game from going stale by introducing as many twists and turns as possible. So, in some deprived way, the uprising is just another way for the games to exploit the players, but also the soldiers. Which of course sets up an interesting story for the third and final season, where Seong must find a way to bring the game down by better means. And we might have gotten some clues for that because he has help on the outside, but also some of the soldiers might turn on their overlords, especially number 11. And that is the only way to bring this system down, from the inside. Seong does make a difference in the game. Seong takes the role of a leader. His actions save many lives in the first game, and he is able to create a strong alliance of players who truly come to care for one another and unite to work together and even protect each other. So while the frontman might win at the end of the season, Seong is able to prove that even in a game devoid of humanity, there is still hope for morality and empathy.
우리가 이러저거 총을 뺏은 게 아닙니다.
And the mysterious post-credit scene might have just given us a big hint. In this post-credit scene, we see players entering what looks like the next game. We see the creepy figures and what seems to be a railroad-themed game, and some type of adaptation of red light, green light. Now, the most likely explanation is that this is simply the next round, but it will be some sort of punishment round for the attempted uprising. This essentially shows that nothing stops the games, but we think that there may be something else going on in this post-credit scene. Remember, the frontman's detective brother is still on the boat with the team Seong built, but there's also the captain of the boat who we find out is working for the frontman. Traitor! Now, over the course of the season, we see the soldiers who are harvesting organs from players and selling them on the black market having a conflict with number 11, and in the final episode, they finally head out to make that delivery. Somehow, the team will encounter these rogue soldiers, and this will allow them to access the facility where the games are taking place. In fact, after the death of number 246, the father who entered the game to save his daughter, number 11 might turn on her overlords and somehow help infiltrate the games. Now, I'm not sure if number 11 should get redemption because she's done some pretty shit, but she could be the key to starting a full-out war inside the games that will finally bring down the entire system. But what if this scene is something else entirely? What if this is actually a flashback to an earlier game from the past? Since Season 3 will be the final season, it would actually make a lot of sense for us to go back in time via flashback and witness the origin story of the frontman and when he won the games. And we can find out what drove the frontman to transform from a player who's been exploited to the man in charge who exploits others.
You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
I anticipate a third season will also finally give us the long-awaited rematch between the frontman and his detective brother, after this season focused primarily on the battle between the frontman and Seong, which I think was the right choice. So look, I am a huge Squid Game fan. This show is my shit, and I think the first season is one of the greatest seasons of television ever made, period. And I did really like this second season, but I don't think it was as good as the first. But hell, that first season was catching lightning in a bottle. It's hard to replicate that. I mean, they could have easily made this second season a copy-paste remake of the original and followed the same honeycomb cutter formula of the first season, but they were willing to break the mold and do something a little different, which I think is key for any show to maintaining success. And I think the way that they ended this season, albeit frustrating, has laid the groundwork for an exciting third season that hopefully gets here sooner than 3 years from now. But anyway, guys, those are just my thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts on the second installment of Squid Game, and let me know what you're anticipating for the third season. You can let me know down in the comments below, you can at me on social media, or we also have a link to our Discord down in that description. If you are new here, please do feel free to subscribe and smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Colton Ogburn.